Before you adopt a cat, you better be ready for the time commitment. From cradle to the grave, it varies how long cats live, but many stick around to snuggle for nearly 20 years. Every once in a while, a feline that must be built of stronger stuff will blow past their silver hair years into extreme old age. One UK cat lady treated her cats like family. Through every phase of adult life, she could count on opening her front door to see her kitties waiting patiently for her. The thought of saying goodbye was too gut-wrenching, so it took her a while to notice that her fur pals were living way longer than the average. On Michelle Foster's 20th birthday, she gifted herself the best present she'd ever receive, a beautiful Maine Coon kitten. He was a looker, with vibrant blue eyes and a swirl of fluffy white fur, topped off with a shock of ginger. She'd heard about some kittens available for adoption at the perfect time. Having recently moved out of her parents' house and into her very first adult living space, Michelle was a ball of nerves about her wide-open future. A friend of her sister's invited Michelle to scope out her cat's newborn litter of kittens. The moment she set eyes on the pink-nosed beauty, she knew she'd found the exact right companion for the years that lay ahead. She named the handsome little guy Rubble. Years passed, and as Michelle's life shifted and transformed, she could take comfort in one constant: the long-haired cat that curled up in her lap whenever she needed him most. Together, Rubble and Michelle moved from the busy streets of London to quieter English suburbs. At one point, he was given a sister when she adopted another cat named Meg to keep him company. Their little trio made a happy family. For Michelle, who never had kids, her cats were just as good as children. She spoiled them to pieces. Their well-being was a top priority, and regular vet visits, combined with her steadfast nurturing, proved her two whiskered darlings to be the picture of health. Still, as her two kitties aged into their golden years, Michelle started to notice Rubble was a bit more special than your average house cat. They had ample time to prepare, but after 25 years, they said goodbye to Meg, which was a full and impressive life by cat standards. The average lifespan of an indoor cat ranges from 13 to 17 years. Given that Michelle adopted Rubble back in 1988, he blew that statistic away. In May of 2019, Rubble reached something very few other cats have ever achieved: a 31st birthday. Converted into human years, Rubble is 137 years old. That's a lot of litter box changes. According to Michelle, her best friend of 3 decades isn't slowing down anytime soon. Apart from high blood pressure, Rubble still has some spring in his step. In honor of his 30th birthday milestone, Rubble's vet's office threw their most geriatric feline patient a low-key birthday party. It's not every day you turn 136, after all. To make this one stand out from the rest, they spoiled Rubble like an elderly king. To toast a birthday boy, they presented Rubble with a saucer of milk. When he'd drunk his fill, he gobbled down as many dry treats as his old cat belly could handle. Hazy from a food and drink stupor, Rubble posed for pictures with his proud mama. It wasn't until November of 2019 that Rubble became the oldest living feline on the planet. That means he spent more days lazing in the sun, scratching at the furniture, and making pretend cookies in his favorite spot on the couch than any cat alive. Sitting at the top of the wisest cats alive list won't get to Rubble's head. That's partly because Michelle won't pursue the official song and dance attention of the Guinness Book of World Records stamp of officiality. It's true, Rubble isn't the only feline to make headlines for living beyond the standard 9 lives. There's a small group of elder cat peers that bless their owners by sticking around past age 30. Scooter was recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as the most senior cat on the planet after celebrating his 30th birthday. The fanfare was brief for Scooter and his mom Gail when another older kitty from across the pond raised an older paw. The Brits know how to keep a cat alive. Nutmeg the cat passed away after 31 happy years with owners Liz and Ian Finlay, despite his perpetually grouchy expression. Guinness refused to acknowledge his extreme age due to a lack of proper age documentation. In South Wales, town councillor Bill Thomas was chuffed to learn his old gal Lucy was in the running for the world record. Many witnesses confirmed to have seen Lucy as a kitten in a local chip shop back in 1972. If there was significant proof of her age, Lucy would have nudged ahead of the others to seize the top spot. The memories of her kittenhood, coupled with doctors' opinions and Lucy's final day on Earth in 2011, suggested her final age is 39 years old. One feline stands alone, the redwood of cats, for the title of the oldest cat of all time, the incomparable Creme Puff. Her owner, Texan Jake Perry, fed her a diet of turkey bacon, eggs, broccoli, and asparagus, which fueled her to reach 38 years of age. It might seem like a weird dietary plan, but Creme Puff's brother, Grandpa, lived until the ripe old age of 34, so their dad was doing something right. Whatever longevity secrets these kitties have, they might work across species for these other animals that broke age barriers. Ernestine the pig, 24 years old and counting. When Ernestine's owners first purchased this pig, they were told that she wouldn't live to be any older than, say, 12 years old. Now, Ernestine is 24 and she doesn't show any signs of going anywhere anytime soon. Max the dog, 29 years old. Born in 1983, this adorable mutt was just months away from his 30th birthday when he made history. The Guinness Book of World Records approved his claim as the world's oldest dog. Debbie the polar bear, 42 years old. This lovely bear lived out her days at the Assiniboine Park Zoo in Winnipeg, Canada. Not only was she the oldest polar bear ever recorded by the time she passed away, but she was also one of the 3 oldest bears of all time. All Billy the horse, 62 years old. Usually, horses only live to be about 20 or 25 years old. Not so for All Billy. This guy reached a whopping 62 years. He died in 1822, and his head is now on display in an art gallery in London. Wisdom the albatross, 67 years old and counting. This beautiful female albatross was born in 1951, making her the oldest living bird in the wild. She's tagged so that scientists can keep up with her health. Since 1956, she's flown more than 3 million miles. Thao the Andean condor, 80 years old. Most condors don't live much past 50 years of age, but Thao was an exception. He managed to become an octogenarian, and he died in Connecticut's Beardsley Zoo in 2010 at the age of 80. Muja the alligator, 80 years old and counting. Don't mess around with this gator. He currently resides in the Belgrade Zoo. In fact, he was one of the only animals to survive when the zoo was bombed during World War II. He also survived having one of his legs amputated in 2012 when he contracted gangrene. Cookie the cockatoo, 82 years old and counting. Cookie's impressive age has earned him a place in the Guinness Book of World Records as the world's oldest parrot. The staff at the zoo in Chicago where he lives helps care for him, which includes treating his osteoarthritis and osteoporosis. Greater the flamingo, 83 years old. There must be something about the weather in sunny Australia because this flamingo, whose gender was never identified, lived longer than most people. Maybe all that pink just kept Greater feeling young and fabulous? Lin Wang the Asian elephant, 86 years old. This elephant served with the Chinese Expeditionary Force during the Second Sino-Japanese War. When he left the service, he retired to the Taipei Zoo in Taiwan, where he was known as Grandpa Lin Wang. Charlie the blue and yellow macaw, 118 years old and counting. This parrot was born in 1899 and he's still kicking. Some believe that this elderly avian was a pet of Winston Churchill, though his family denied those claims. Charlie is also known to shout strings of obscenities from time to time. Henry the tuatara, 120 years old and counting. These lizards are notoriously long-lived. Henry didn't even mate for the first time until 2009 at the age of 111. His lack of experience didn't hurt him, he fathered more than 11 little lizards. Talk about an old dad. Jean Calment the human, 122 years old. Okay, so she isn't an animal, but she still had a good run. Even though she smoked like a chimney, Jean lived to be 122. She credited her long life to a love of tennis and bicycle riding. Also, apparently, cigarettes. George the lobster, 140 years old. When the animal rights activists at PETA learned that the City Crab and Seafood restaurant in New York City kept this lobster as a mascot, they were furious. They forced them to release the crustacean back into the wild. Tui Malila the tortoise, 177. This long-lived tortoise was given to the royal family of Tonga by Captain James Cook when he came to visit them in 1777. Tui Malila's remains are preserved and now on display in Tonga. Jonathan the Seychelles giant tortoise, 183 years old and counting. Yet another tortoise, this big fellow is still alive and kicking. He lives on the island of St. Helena, where the 5-cent coin proudly displays his image on one side. Now that's pretty darn impressive. Adwaita the tortoise, 255 years old. Apparently, tortoises are modern-day dinosaurs. Adwaita was born in the Seychelles. He was eventually brought to India and given as a gift to the East India Tea Company. At 255, he was one of the oldest turtles on record and he could have been older. Hanako the koi, 226 years old. These giant goldfish are known for having very long lives. Some can live up to 100 years old. Hanako the koi put them all to shame, passing away at the ripe old age of 226 back in 1977. Ming the clam, 507 years old. And holding the record of the oldest animal on this list? Ming the clam. According to the growth lines on his shell, this mollusk plucked from the waters of Iceland in 2006 was more than 507 years old. Good old Ming started living his best life in the year 1499.